All they have to do is abandon a nuclear weapon in meaningful and verifiable ways, or instead they can watch their regime's fragile economic state collapse under the unrelenting pressure of American power.
At today's CENTCOM briefing, Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House.
The White House says it is hopeful the U.S. and Iran can reach a deal to bring a final end to Iran's nuclear ambitions. But when it comes to a deal now, 2 months into this military conflict, it still appears to be just out of reach. And the president told reporters on Thursday he's okay if this takes a bit longer.
I also took a little break. I gave them a break. And remember this, I want to make the best deal. I could make a deal right now. Do you know that if I left right now, we had a tremendous success. It would take them 20 years to rebuild, but I don't want to do that. I want to have it everlasting.
Meantime, the U.S. continuing to send military assets into the region. U.S. Central Command says at least 15,000 sailors and Marines are on duty. 3 aircraft carriers now sailing through the Middle Eastern waters.
Yes, the third U.S. aircraft carrier has arrived in the Indian Ocean. The USS George H.W. Bush joins the USS Gerald R. Ford and Abraham Lincoln. A new Fox News poll asks voters how they feel about the Iran war.
Support for the war in Iran has grown to 45% now, from 42% in March. Has the action made America safer? 36% say yes, while 39% say it has made America less safe. A majority of voters, 57%, say they don't believe the effort to keep America safe justifies the pain of higher prices here at home, while 43% say the rising costs will be worth it in the long run.
President Trump says Israel and Lebanon have agreed to extend their ceasefire by 3 weeks. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says he had prostate cancer. America's listening to Fox.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
The station Delaware and Maryland turns to for local news. Here is another Delmarva News Update here on 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app.
Good morning. A former Delaware State University football player is headed to court in a lawsuit against his one-time team and coach. Malachi Biggs is suing the university and head coach Deshaun Jackson, claiming a locker room assault left him with permanent injuries. According to the lawsuit, the incident stems from a November 2025 practice. Biggs alleges a teammate put him in a chokehold over an Instagram post, continuing until Biggs lost consciousness. The fall reportedly resulted in multiple jaw fractures and a severed ligament. The complaint also accuses the former NFL star and his staff of negligence. The suit further alleges that the staff tried to hide the incident by altering the team's website. Biggs is looking for damages for medical expenses and lost income, noting he's been unable to return to school since that attack. No comment from the school. Man from Dover facing felony charges after Denrec police say they discovered a large quantity of illegal drugs inside his vehicle. An officer patrolling the Delaware Seashore Park last Thursday spotted an unregistered car in one of the parking areas, and that's where they say a man identified as Mark Cushman had no license. Police say the search of the vehicle turned up over 37 grams of suspected methamphetamine, nearly 4 grams of amphetamine, and 4.5 grams of suspected heroin. Cushman, taken into custody, now faces a laundry list of charges, including felony possession and intent to deliver a controlled substance. State officials remind visitors to the parks that law enforcement remains on alert for suspicious activity throughout the spring season.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Sun with high clouds today, 63 at the beach, 74 inland. Tonight, cloudy, breezy, late with a couple of showers, the low 52. Tomorrow, cloudy, Saturday, windy, cooler, a couple of showers around with the high 56. Sunday, Some rain in the morning, then windy, rather cloudy and cool. Sunday's high to 54. More on these and other stories. You can visit us at talkofdelmarva.com. I'm Jerry Lademan in the Talk of Delmarva News.
Hey everyone, get ready to cruise into the summer with Bell House Medical's top-of-the-line Pride Mobility scooters. Visit our store in tax-free Lewis, Delaware, where we offer a wide range of models with no hidden fees, unlike those tricky websites. Don't let mobility challenges stop you from making the most of this season. We'll help you find the perfect scooter for you. Give us a call at 302-644-4404, and let's ride into the sunshine together. Bell House Medical, your mobility partner.
Listen up, Delmarva anglers. The Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report follows the 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 4 p.m. local news and sports all throughout the week. Veteran fishing reporter, broadcaster, and local salt Eric Burnley tells us what's biting, where, and on what.
The Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report is brought to you by Complete Tree Care, licensed and insured. Request an estimate at CompleteTreeCareDE.com.
Now, it's time for the Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report, featuring Eric Burnley.
Thursday saw reasonably good weather on the ocean, and a few boats tried their luck. Lewis Harbor Marina told us the Katydid fished ocean structure and brought back 15 tog. The only report of black drum from the surf came from DMS. Joe Griffith caught one from the beach at Cape Henlopen on Thursday morning. No bait was given, but my guess would be sand fleas. Old Inlet Bait and Tackle said they had 0 reports of black drum from the beach. They did, however, have a report of big striped bass caught and released on sand fleas fished from the beach at 3 R's Road. They also told me that hickory shad have finally arrived at Indian River Inlet. Hookem and Cookem said a few private boats fished the ocean and caught a few tog. This is Eric Burnley with your Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report.
Broadcasting from the Waunakee Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Good Friday to you. It's Digital Interactive Friday, live from DS2. Here I am, your anchorman, Jake Smith. For the next 2 hours, we will be video streaming our broadcast, which you can watch at realnewstalk.com, or you can watch it via Facebook Live. 2 ways to watch the broadcast. And we are waiting for Professor Alan Dershowitz to join the broadcast. And this morning, if you are listening to our first hour, which is via terrestrial radio, traditional terrestrial radio broadcast, I read my latest monologue, which we read every day. Well, not we, I do, at 9:35. So if you missed it, and I've already heard from some people saying, I missed your monologue this morning, I missed your monologue. We've got an opportunity, because Professor Dershowitz hasn't logged on yet. I'm going to reread it. That's right, I'm going to reread it. So if you missed it and you tried to call in and you wanted to respond to it, the calls were going like crazy. And then I had to get to our last panelist, to Peter Laffin, from the Washington Examiner, to talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center. So it was kind of breaking news. We had to get to a panelist, so my apologies. So here we go. I'm going to read it again. And this, well, it comes from the heart. I must get a personal matter off my chest this morning, and I'm going to use the monologue to do it. The monologue is entitled, Leave the Kid Alone. There are those times in one's life where friends and family offer you advice. In most cases, those offering the advice mean well, even if their advice is rejected. What do I mean? Let me provide a few examples. I am sure you remember a time in this nation when it was not wise to let anyone know about which sex you happened to be attracted to. Men were eternal bachelors if they stayed single. Women were old maids if they remained unmarried. I think we have learned in modern times why most of these people we knew never married, correct? I wonder how many times those who never married were asked, so, what are you going to march down the aisle? You ain't getting any younger, you know. And then there are those who offer advice on your choice of career. And this happened to me many times. What do you mean you want to be a disc jockey? You're never going to make any money spinning records for a living and working holidays and overnights. Are you crazy? There are those who mean well, who play doctor. Why don't you take this drug or that drug? Why don't you increase the dosage of this drug and you'll feel better? Never mind that this person offering this unsolicited medical advice has no medical credentials whatsoever. They know better than your doctor. And then there are those who mean well, but they are concerned about when you are going to retire. Hang them up. On a regular basis, those closest to me ask the following question. So, are you ready to retire? Or, when are you going to retire? What are you waiting for? To drop dead someday wearing a pair of headphones? For those listening who have asked me when I'm going to retire or advised me to retire before it's too late, I know you mean well. I really do. However, if I wanted to retire, I would in a heartbeat. It's my decision. The fact is, I don't want to retire. Not now, anyway. When I do decide to hang up my headphones for the last time, you will be the first to know. Until then, leave the kid alone. And that is the monologue. What say you? All right, so we don't usually take phone calls. We're waiting for Professor Dershowitz to join us. So while we have time, we'll go to a phone call on Digital Interactive Friday. All right, go ahead. Welcome to the program, Digital Interactive Friday. You are on the air, and your response to my monologue is you want to tell me to retire as well?
No, I'll tell you, Jake. If someone asks you a personal question, the best thing you can do is come right back with a question for them, and 9 times out of 10, they'll turn tail leave.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's get to our next caller. I know there are those, well, that next caller's there, but that one is. There are those who do wish me to retire because they don't like me. They don't like listening to me, but that's on them. But I'm going to retire when I think it's appropriate. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, hello, Jake, and we need you to work as long as possible to spread the word what the DEI crowd is doing to this country, and we need Pete Hegseth. He's great. Leave no man behind. I'm a Vietnam veteran.
Thank you for your service.
I wish we did that then. And one other thing, Biden with the DEI stuff, he didn't say leave no man behind. He said leave no man's behind, because with all his woke nonsense.
Well, just remember what Obama did, giving away the most dangerous terrorists at Club Gitmo to bring back the traitor Bert Bergdahl. Remember?
I remember that very clearly.
Right.
Yeah,
they should have let the Taliban keep him.
It's unbelievable, and we still don't know why he let that balloon go across all our military bases and film our whole country.
Oh, I did, because the Chinese owned and controlled him. That's why. Let's go to our next caller. Meineke doing Car Care Right Talk Lines. It's Digital Interactive Friday. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello, Jake. This is Bill. I just wanted to say that the last caller was speaking about DEI. I like to call it DIE: divest, indoctrinate, exclude, because that's exactly what it did. And what it does is it causes everything to die. So the whole thing is that with all this mess of stuff, the question now is what new schemes, since the SPLC is no longer going to be viable, what new schemes, what new organizations are they going to open up now?
Oh, there's no shortage of them. Just take a look at the hospice scams that were going on in California, these phony hospice operations in California. There's no shortage of this. Now let's get to some of the, while we have time, get to some of the chatter in the Dial Lounge. Reagan asks a question, does everyone think if Trump stops in Iran now, it's been a success? Well, if they have been stopped from becoming a nuclear state, do you think that that is a success or failure, Reagan? I don't know. That's our producer, Reagan. I think it's a good question. Producer Bob responds, yes, but if something's worth doing, it's worth completing and doing it right. Finish the job properly now. I think George H.W. Bush found that out during the Gulf War when he did not finish off Saddam Hussein. Correct? Let's see here. Producer Vanessa. I don't think it will ever be completely solved because those people won't ever give up. But I believe we have crippled them sufficiently, Ray, their weapons and those in power. The Iranian citizens have a real opportunity here to take their country back, but they won't. They don't seem to be able. Well, now's the time because the factions inside Iran are at war with one another. The IRGC is just, well, let's put it this way. They're trying to take over. Well, they are in control, but others are fighting back. The people in Iran, if they don't do it now, Vanessa, they're never going to do it. Producer Bob, Jake, please don't retire anytime soon. You're much too handsome to retire young, especially with your new beard, which looks great. Thank you. I've had 2 women tell me in the last 2 weeks that you are so handsome, and just in public. So I said to Nancy, gee, I should have grown this beard long ago. And I'm not growing it because I want to look handsome. I'm growing it because, well, I'm dealing with this concussion situation. So I have to be careful on how I move my head back and forward. And so I just grew a beard. I don't plan on having it permanently. So there you go. Let's see here. Okay, I think that's it for that is it right now for the Dial Lounge, and I'm told that the Professor Dershowitz is still not here. So we're going to take a break on Your News Talk America. More with your anchorman Jake Smith in just a moment. Stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 76 today under mainly sunny skies with a slight chance of rain showers. Winds out of the northeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Chance for showers. Lows level off around 52. Chance of rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 62. Cloudy skies expected. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center inland. Currently 70.
Hey, it's Rockfish. Tune in this Saturday night at 10 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. for Laugh Smartly to laugh like me and Mrs. Rockfish do on WGMD's 98.5 The Talk of Delmarva.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg with your KFC Weekend Weather Update. On Saturday, expect cloudy skies with windy conditions. The temperature will reach 57 degrees inland and 64 degrees on the beach. Sunday will be mostly cloudy, breezy, and cool with a high of 59 degrees. The Colonel made irrationally delicious chicken. He also made irrationally irresponsible decisions about prices. That's why the KFC $7 box feast comes with a KFC snacker, 5 nuggets and fries, and a drink, all for just $7. Prices and participation may vary.
Swim in riches at Ocean Downs this Kentucky Derby Day, May 2nd. Join us for a full day of cash prize events and festive fun. Show off your pup in our dog costume parade. Turn heads in the Derby hat contest. And don't miss the action-packed Crab Derby. There's plenty of claws for celebration. Plus, enjoy a free live concert by DSB, the world's greatest Journey tribute band. For details, visit oceandowns.com. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter the casino and participate in events. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tune in this Monday afternoon after the 4:30 news as WGMD's featured guest will be Jim Fritz of All American Mortgage, specializing in reverse mortgages and keeping you up to speed with Delmarva's ever-changing housing market this Monday afternoon after the 4:30 news.
Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Your News Talk America Digital Interactive Friday, and the word from the control room is that Professor Dershowitz still not here. Okay. Well, I just pinged his booker to find out what's going on. We have a panelist booked let's see, when is he booked? And he's booked very shortly, actually. So as soon as he comes on, Matthew Petrusik, Senior Director of the Word on Fire Institute. He wrote an opinion piece in the Washington Examiner, my friends, talking about the necessity, the need for Christians to stay united. And that means all Christians to stay united. He's going to be joining us this morning. And also, we are going to be welcoming back to the panel Rabbi Michael Barclay. We had Rabbi Barclay on just a few weeks ago. He's the host of the radio show and podcast, The Rabbi's Table, Dialogue, Not Debate. And the rabbi is going to talk about Candace Owens. What has happened to Candace Owens? I don't get it. What has happened to Tucker Carlson? I don't get that either. But we're going to be talking to the rabbi about that this morning. It just seems to me, and you may agree or disagree, that there is just so much more evil everywhere in the world. And we're seeing it, we're hearing it, we're feeling it. But I want to ask the rabbi today if he thinks that the reason that it appears that there's more evil in the world right now, is that perhaps because there are more platforms that evil is being communicated and more of it's getting out there, whether it's social media, whether it is all the podcasts and the way in which the media has changed. In other words, do we have the same amount of evil in the world, but perhaps none of it is slipping through the cracks anymore? Everyone's seeing and hearing everything that's going on because of the extensive media coverage of everything today. What do you think? I don't know. It's possible. I'm going to ask the rabbi. Now, as far as Christians staying united, it is very, very important, my friends, that Christians stay united. Because as I mentioned yesterday, there is a communist revolution going on in this country. The Democrat Communist Party are insurgents. There's an insurgency. What do you think they did that they ran in Virginia yesterday? We're hoping that Ken Cuccinelli is going to join us any moment. He's in a hearing this morning in court on the redistricting in Virginia. Ken, former Attorney General of the state of Virginia, by the way. He was supposed to be on for a considerable amount of time this morning, but Ken had to cut the amount of time because he had to be in court. So he said, I'll as soon as I get out of the courtroom, I'll come on with you and talk about what's going on right now. So there is a revolution, a communist revolution going on inside the country right now that is being hosted and sponsored by the Democrat Communist Party in Washington and in states, governor's offices in blue states. And that's what's going on, my friends. Communists are not religious. They're atheists. Communists do not like Christians. Communists do not like Jews. And the fact that they seem to be getting the votes of those who may go to some type of religious service, you can't even explain why that's happening. Producer 3M just popped into the Dial Lounge and said, money. Tucker and Owens need to gain viewers. They need relevance and money. Well, I don't know about Tucker. Tucker is independently wealthy. His family is extremely wealthy. He does not need any money. I just don't understand why Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they were going down a particular road and then they made a turn, my friends. And people who supported them for years and years are suddenly saying, these are not the two people that I supported. I mean, there was a time when it was pretty clear to me that President Trump was returning to the White House that I said, perhaps Candace Owens might be the perfect person to be White House press secretary. Now, obviously, Caroline Leavitt may be the best one we've ever had. You may agree or disagree. I'm just saying I think she's the best one that's ever been in that spot. But Candace Owens right now, I just don't get it. Why would she constantly be picking on and going after people who were her allies, especially one that was assassinated, Charlie Kirk, last summer? I don't get it. So that's where we are right now, my friends, and that's why we're going to ask Matthew Petrusik about the fact that Christians have got to stay, we've got to stay united. Now, that might be difficult and I'm going to be honest with you, as a Roman Catholic, we know that there are some Protestant sects that don't like us very much. You know, they call, you worship idols and all that kind of stuff, and we hear that constantly. There's as much hatred out there for Catholics as there is for Jews. I've always believed that. But the simple fact is that it's going to be more difficult, I think, for Christians to stay united than it would be for Jews of all, Orthodox and Reformed and the different sects of Judaism to stay together than it would be for Christians because of the dislike for Catholicism. That's my feeling. That's what I think. That's what I believe. But we're going to be talking about the need for Christians to stay united during this period where the communists are revolting against the Republic of the United States of America. I mean, you heard yesterday, and let me pull the file up right now, and I'm going to play, if you didn't hear it yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries. I'm going to play this cut right now, and let's see, here it is. Okay. Here it is. You didn't hear it?
We are in an era of maximum warfare. We're going to keep the pressure on Republicans in every single state in the Union to ensure at the end of the day that there is a fair national map.
Yeah, your map, a communist map, where Republicans have no representation. That's the reality in Virginia. That's the reality in California. So you heard what Hakeem Jeffries said.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. We're going to.
That's revolutionary talk, my friends, and that's what we have right now. And we better understand that the situation that we find ourselves in today, we are fighting a revolution, and we're going to have to fight back. And unfortunately, voting is very difficult to change things through the voting process when you don't have representation, when you have been basically your power as a voter has been eliminated. Correct? So I don't know. We're just going to have to see how that works. Now, again, I just heard from the control room, and still no Professor Dershowitz. And his booker just emailed me, said he was confirmed. Let me check and see what happened. Sorry, he was confirmed. And in those situations where we have panelists, my friends, who confirm and don't show up, there's no one you can blame other than the fact that they were confirmed. Now, some people have emergencies, some things come up. Actually, and I'm going to be honest with you, Charlie Kirk was booked on this show once, and at the last minute didn't show up. He had an emergency with one of his kids. Charlie Kirk, that's right. So it does happen. But the situation with Professor Alan Dershowitz, we just don't know why he's not on. Now, an interesting point from producer Reagan says, sadly, like Judge Knapp said, Texas started this. Well, I disagree, Reagan. Texas did get involved, but New York did it before Texas did it. And they took Long Island and they gerrymandered it into a congressional district in Rye, New York, which is on the other side of Long Island Sound. So, unfortunately, I understand it's great for the Democrats, the Demcoms, to say Texas started it. It's propaganda. The fact that there was very serious gerrymandering in Pennsylvania and also in New York before Texas did theirs. So sorry, that's the facts. I understand that Texas is getting the blame, but that's not fair in my estimation. You may disagree, but I'm just, again, stating the facts. Producer Eric says Jerome Powell investigation shut down, says Janine Piero. Okay, well, I'm not surprised. We're waiting for the hearings to continue. Thank you, Eric, for that. With respect to the new Fed chair, and we'll see what happens. I played the cut the other day, and let me see if I can find it. When Pocahontas went after the new Fed chair, let me see if I can find it out here. I'm not sure if I've got it here or not. Well, we'll see if we can find it in the next segment. But let us welcome, and let me just take a look at. Our. Well, no, we need to take a break. So we're going to take a break here on Your News Talk America, and then welcome in our next panelist. I've been talking about this for the last several minutes, and that is, Christians. We are fighting a communist revolution in this country. Communists don't like Christians very much. They don't like organized religion. They're atheists. And we need, as Christians, to stay united. How easy is that going to be? Well, we'll try to talk about that with Matthew Petrusik. Matthew is Senior Director of the Word on Fire Institute. Matthew is staring me right in the face right now. He's going to be with us in just a moment on Your News Talk America. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Is the marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center. Mostly sunny today with highs topping out near 60 degrees. And on the water, east winds 5 to 10 knots, seas around 2 feet. The current water temperature is 54 degrees. At Cambridge, high tide 10:53 a.m., low tide 5:53 p.m., high tide 11:27 p.m. And at Rehoboth Beach, low tide 8:46 a.m., high tide 2:46 p.m., low tide 8:48 p.m. I'm Phil Chensko.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson of the aptly named Rob Carson Show. Weekdays from noon to 3. Now on the Talk of Delmarva's 98.5.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks opened mixed. Crude oil prices rose today. However, investors are encouraged by some upbeat earnings news. Intel shares up 26%. It reported an upbeat quarter and surprised Wall Street with demand for its slower CPU chips for AI. Wedbush analysts say Intel is best positioned to serve demand for those chips. Procter & Gamble shares up 4%. Its sales jumped in the recent quarter. Shoppers who can afford higher prices for its products are buying. It makes Pantene, Pampers, Tide, and other brands, though P&G expects to take a hit from costs related to the Iran conflict. Meta Platforms opened down 0.5%. It is laying off about 10% of its workforce, approximately 8,000 people, to cut costs and invest in AI. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
You didn't want to buy gold when prices are rising. Then you waited when gold pulled back. Now you're stuck in the middle, unsure what to do next. Speak with a precious metal specialist now at noblegoldinvestments.com. Get the answers you need to stop guessing and move forward with confidence. Their team makes it simple to gain real investor knowledge and insight. Stop trying to time the market. Start spending time in it. Don't let the market move without you. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
My friends, Christians must stay united. There's a war against Christianity, and that war emanates from Washington, D.C. Yes, that Washington, D.C. I want to welcome in Matthew R. Petrusik, Senior Director of the Word on Fire Institute. He wrote an interesting opinion piece in the Washington Examiner, America's Future Depends on Christians Staying United. Now, why is it important for Christians to stay united? Let me give you a perfect example. And Matthew, you can talk about this. The Supreme Court is apparently going to hear this First Amendment case. Catholic schools in Colorado, state of Colorado wants to force them to allow children of same-sex parents into Catholic schools, and the diocese there doesn't want to do it. These are the kinds of things going on that makes you wonder if Christians were united, if states would even attempt anything like this. What say you?
I think that's spot on. So it's really great to join with you, and I'm really I'm really grateful that you're elevating this topic to such importance, because we are in the midst of a psyop, and it's working. Unfortunately, it's working. Now, it doesn't have to. We don't have to be to accept our fate as Christians. We're the vast majority of people in this country, and as the article argues, in the most important, especially sort of civic values and moral values, we are 100% united, not 90% united, 100% united. And so as we look around and see all of these different sort of attacks and breakdowns in the culture, it's really a matter of will on our part as Christians in this country. It's not a matter of agreement. It's not a matter of finding consensus that's not there. It is there. It's a matter of not taking the bait, uniting and putting our values into practice, especially in our different institutions.
Matthew, I'm Roman Catholic, and I know that, well, I get, obviously occasional hate mail because of my Catholicism. People send me anti-Catholic things in the mail. There are materials, you Catholics worship idols, that kind of crap. But it's my opinion that there's as much hatred out there for Catholicism, for Roman Catholics, for papists, as there is for Jews. And that makes it that much more difficult to keep Christians united. How do you respond to that?
Well, it's just empirically the case, especially when we brought it out from just Roman Catholics to the Christian community as a whole across the world. Christianity is by far, by any metric how you measure it, the most persecuted religion in the world. And of course, there's different forms of persecution. Our Christian brothers and sisters in Nigeria, for example, are being
yes. I had someone from Nigeria on just last week or 2 weeks ago talking about the genocide going on with Christians in Nigeria. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's right, and it's in Nigeria. It's in other parts of Africa. It's especially prominent in parts of the Middle East, in parts of Asia, China, North Korea. So it's a global phenomenon, and there's no doubt about why it's happening. It's a hatred for Christianity specifically. With regards to the issue of Roman Catholics, this country does have a history of being suspicious about Roman Catholics and having this kind of underlying assumption that they can't really be good partners in the republic because they have dual allegiance to that, and ultimately they're going to choose the Pope over the president. And I just, as you already know, it's 100% false. It's an incorrect understanding of Catholic theology and the Catholic understanding of government. So that prejudice, and it is in fact a prejudice because it's irrational, it's not based on the truth, is resurfacing. And it's resurfacing precisely because those who want to destroy our country and take and pull apart the Christian community, want it to resurface. And so, again, we're playing right into their hands by picking up these centuries-old battles that, again, are predicated on misunderstandings. And as we're having that circular firing squad, we can see in real time what's happening to our country.
What do you say to those Protestants of other Protestant denominations? If you were to have a meeting and get together with other Protestant denominations who have a hesitancy about joining with Catholics, what reasons could you give them about joining together and uniting with Catholics? Because we're losing the country. This is a Christian nation, and we're losing the country.
That's right. Well, I think the argument from self-interest, it's not the most important argument fundamentally, but I think it's a good hook, is to say, look, we're all in this together, and the degree to which we are divided is the degree to which we will all end up in a very dark place as a country. That's not just sort of some random hypothetical that I'm generating. Look at history. Look at what happens when governments rise and political forces rise that target Christians. You eventually end up losing all of your rights. So just for the sake of self-interest alone, we need to stay united. But more important than that, we share a fundamental moral foundation that isn't accidentally overlapping. It's the same foundation grounded in Christ as Redeemer, but also grounded in the same Christ who is the Word, who is rationality itself, who is the ground of all morality itself, who in Catholic terms would say is the ground of natural law. And so we're bickering over fake problems.
Yeah.
We actually agree. And so we just need to stop because the stakes are too high.
And one of the things we have to be very careful of, and tell me if I'm wrong here, Matthew, is how we vote. And if you're complaining about the way the country's going, and if you are complaining about the way things went in Virginia the other day with the redistricting, well, people voted for that. Now, if you're a Christian and you're voting for this kind of thing, you're voting for people who are anti-Christian. They have basically their platform is communist. And that's why we call them on this program the Democrat Communists, because that's who they are. They're communists. Their platform is communist. Their policies are communist. Their threats are communist. They're communists. So when you have people who are communists don't like organized religion. They don't like Christians. You don't believe me? Try to practice Christianity in Beijing and see what happens. Basically, you can practice it, but it's going to be under the control and auspices of the Chinese Communist Party, right?
That's right. And even, I think, more important than who we're voting for is who's not voting in the first place. We look at these elections and we look at the margins by which they're lost, and they would be easily made up for by just a fraction of self-identified Christians actually going to the polls. And so I think if we could say sort of the cardinal sin of the left is kind of a moral pride, having this belief that they can generate morality according to their own wills alone. On the right, I would say it's a kind of intellectual pride that, I can sort of have the right ideas in my head and I can have the right beliefs. And that in and of itself is sufficient for me to think of myself as a good person and doing the right thing. And it's just not the case. To the extent that we are sitting at home or bickering online, or for those who have a bigger platform, just trying to generate content, we're not actually doing anything that's advancing the ball. And so all of us need to first look at ourselves and say, what are we doing right now to take the easy wins by just becoming united and actually acting our beliefs?
I agree. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Matthew, let me just get to a couple of digital interactive questions that I have here from our listener producers that have been posted. And this first one is from our listener producer, Vanessa. She said she visited your website, and I read your lecture in English and Spanish. Curious where you learned Spanish and how is the Catholic Church holding up in Latin American countries? And your response?
Well, I actually learned Spanish when I was a little kid. My godparents are both from Guadalajara, Mexico. They came to the country legally a long time ago. And I spent a lot of time with them when I was very young. So I just grew up speaking Spanish. But later in life, I got married to a Argentine, my wife now of 21 years, native Argentine, didn't speak a word of English when we met.
Congratulations.
And, of course, we live in the United States now, but we speak Spanish at home. With regards to the church in Latin America, it's suffering it's suffering from the same trends of secularization that we're seeing here. It's a little behind us historically in terms of the power of secularization. The cultures in general are still much more Christian, and in some areas specifically Catholic than generically in the West in the United States. But the same dangers are there, and they're taking a bite out of the faith there as well.
And that is just what's happened to Latin America with respect to Catholicism is just it's sad, and some of it I blame on Vatican II, but we'll leave that for a theological discussion for another day, Matthew. All right, let me get to the next question. Do you know theologian Dr. David Anders, a convert to the Catholic Church? How can 4,000 Christian sects unite other than just as children of God when their Christia faiths are so far apart? And you say?
I'm not familiar with that particular name, but there are a number of converts who are very very deep within their Protestant tradition, but especially started reading church history. I think that's a pivotal moment for many who convert, is actually reading the origins.
Vice President Vance is a convert.
That's right.
Vice
that's
President
right.
Vance
So
is a convert.
I am optimistic. I'm hopeful about uniting, but it's something that we have to do and recognize the stakes if we don't.
My friends, Matthew R. Petrusik, Senior Director of the Word on Fire Institute, his opinion piece in the Washington Examiner, America's Future Depends on Christians Staying United. Thank you, Matthew. We appreciate you coming on this morning, and we need to have this discussion again closer to Election Day to make sure that Christians, all Christians, Americans, are on the same page.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You're listening to Your News Talk America, and we're going to come back and welcome back once again. Rabbi Michael Barclay is going to be joining us. What in God's name has happened to Candace Owens, to Tucker Carlson? I just don't know what's happened to these people, but we're going to find out from Rabbi Michael Barclay. He's going to join us in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 76 today under mainly sunny skies with a slight chance of rain showers. Winds out of the northeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Chance for showers. Lows level off around 52. Chance of rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 62. Cloudy skies expected. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Right now, 72.
Salute the troops with 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD. Get the WGMD app online today.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. Ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Tune in this Tuesday at 4:40 p.m. as I'll be live with Dr. Tiny and the housing segment. Learn how we can create housing options that work for everyone in our community. This Tuesday at 4:40.
One blood donation can help save many lives. Give blood today. Call the Blood Bank of Delmarva at 1-888-8-BLOOD-8 or visit delmarvablood.org. For information, go to the Community Outreach under the Extras tab at thetalkofdelmarva.com.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday continues from DS2. Your anchorman, Jake Smith. And my friends, many of us are wondering what has happened to Candace Owens. What has happened to Tucker Carlson? I don't know. I was at one time very fond of both of them, no longer. And perhaps our next panelist can tell us. Rabbi Michael Barclay is rejoining our panel. It's great to have the rabbi back on. He's the host of the radio show and podcast, The Rabbi's Table, Dialogue, Not Debate, on CRN Digital Talk Radio, where he leads bold conversations on religion, freedom, Israel, America, and today's most pressing cultural issues. Rabbi, thank you so much for coming back with us. Before we start talking about Candace Owens, and it's kind of a it's kind of a question that is connected. We were talking earlier about the fact that there just seems to be so much more evil in the world right now. Evil thoughts, evil people, evil things, evil actions. Is there more evil, or are there just more ways to publicize it with all the technology that we have today that nothing falls through the cracks anymore? What do you think?
I think, and first of all, thank you for having me on again, and Jake, and
It's an honor.
thank you for everything you and your audience do. I think that there's not more evil. I just think that it's becoming more polarized. So those of us who are doing everything we can to fight evil are seeing it more clearly. I think it's just more out there. It's kind of like, anti-Semitism didn't decrease after World War II and then suddenly increased in the 1980s. It was there. It was just covert. And now we're seeing it so clearly. And I think it's the same with evil. And this is a war of good and evil, what's going on in the world.
Oh, there's no question. This is, without question, Rabbi, this is a war between good and evil. And I'm surprised that most people don't understand that. Rabbi, I need to take a break for just a second. We've got some information that's coming into us now on the Virginia redistricting. And Rabbi, I'll get back to you in just a moment. Ken Cuccinelli is joining us. Ken, thanks so much. Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman, the Election Transparency Initiative. Ken, thanks for finding a few minutes for us this morning. What can you tell us about that hearing today on the redistricting vote just a couple of days ago in the Commonwealth?
So a trial court judge in Southwest Virginia has enjoined the referendum that you saw on Tuesday, enjoined the certification of it because of a laundry list of constitutional and legal violations. Look, the Democrat General Assembly just drove over our constitutional requirements gangster style here. And I think they thought they'd win by 10 or 20 points and then say, oh, look, the people have spoken. But they squeaked by here with a 3-point win after outspending our side 3 or 4 to 1.
Is that how close it was, Ken? 3 points?
Yeah, 3 points. Yeah. And again, a lot of their spending won't show up in the election money reporting because they have a bunch of nonprofits, so-called nonpartisan nonprofits, that participate especially in the mail voting. And the mail voting was what decided this. We won Election Day. We barely lost early voting by about 1 point, and we lost mail-in voting by 45 points. Even though it was only about an eighth of all the votes, the margin was so big that it swung the outcome. We won Election Day by 9 points.
Now, I looked at this morning. There's, as you mentioned, a laundry list of those who have joined against this redistricting. Judge Napolitano was on the show yesterday and was asking, I thought, an interesting question. That is, why didn't the Republicans in the Commonwealth of Virginia file a lawsuit before?
So they did. So that's a great question. They
Okay.
did. And in February, the Supreme Court put it on hold. And they did that based on over 100 years of legal precedent in Virginia, where the vote is part of the legislative process. The easy analogy to understand is for a referendum, the vote is analogous to a governor signing or vetoing a bill. Now, I'm going to sue on our assault weapons ban that's gone through the General Assembly, but right now it's on the governor's desk. I can't sue yet. The courts
Not
would
until she signs it, right?
not until assuming she signs it, right? But the possibility exists she could veto it. So courts won't take up the case until the legislative process is complete. So they froze that case in place, and they put a briefing schedule in place in the event that the yes side won, which they did by 3 points. They had briefing yesterday.
Right.
Oral argument is Monday morning at 9 a.m. This is moving. I've never seen a Virginia case go this fast.
Wow.
Ever. So and that's the first part of the challenges. You and I first started talking about the ruling earlier this week from the trial court judge. That has been appealed, and literally 30 minutes ago, the Supreme Court said we're going to skip the Court of Appeals and we're going to take that straight up. But
wow,
those issues are playing catch up to the first two that were filed in January and February.
Ken Cuccinelli is joining us, and we only have a few seconds remaining with him. Ken's got, as you can imagine, a lot of demands on his time, but I very much appreciate him finding a few moments for us today. So, Ken, what's the Supreme Court's role right now?
So these are state constitutional violations. So this will end with the Supreme Court of Virginia. SCOVA, not SCOTUS. And they have obviously two of the constitutional challenges that I mentioned. There was a third constitutional challenge that was part of this week's trial court ruling in Tazewell, Virginia. He also ruled on a number of statutory violations, like the ballot language. I'm sure many people listening to you and me saw how
got a ton of calls on it. Yep.
Biased that language was. And the trial court judge ruled that misleading in violation of our plain English statute. And he also ruled in violation of another statute that notice wasn't given 90 days before either the 2025 election, which they want to use as the Democrats want to call the intervening election, and 90 days before this year's election that began on March 6th. Thanks to the 45-day election the Democrats gave us last time they had full control of the General Assembly. So there's a laundry list of violations. Any one of them knocks the referendum out. The yes folks have to win every single challenge. And there are 3 constitutional challenges, 2 statutory challenges, and that's before you get to the challenge to just how radically gerrymandered the map is, because Virginia's Constitution also has a compactness and contiguity requirement. And if this map doesn't violate that requirement, no map will ever violate it.
Wow.
But we don't get to talking about the map in court until the Supreme Court rules on all 5 of those process challenges that I identified for you.
Ken, I'd like to get you back as soon as you have time to talk about the electoral compact that the governor signed, because you are chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative. There's so much to talk about. I know you've got to go, but I thank you, Ken Cuccinelli, chairman, the Election Transparency Initiative, former Virginia Attorney General. Thank you so much for popping on to give us an update of what's going on.
Yeah, glad to be with you. And people can follow this at electiontransparency.org or my Twitter account at Ken Cuccinelli. I'm reporting on it there every day.
Ken, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. God bless.
All right.
Have a great
Thank
weekend.
you. All right, you too. And now back to Rabbi Michael Barclay. Rabbi, I'm sorry, that this news cycle just changes so rapidly. I apologize. So
don't apologize for anything. What's going on in Virginia is infinitely more important than the con men of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
But what's happened? What do you think has happened to these people? Have they changed, or has this always been inside of them? That's the question that I have for you, Rabbi.
Well, I was the first person to call both of them out as anti-Semites over 2.5 years ago in writing. And, we talk about grifters, but the real term of grifter comes from con man, which is short for confidence man. You have confidence in someone, so you give them your money because you have faith in them. You give them your loyalty, you give them your confidence. And that's what both these people are and have always been. Neither of them are particularly bright. Candace especially is just not a very smart woman, but she's extremely, extremely shrewd. And so she has always grifted from one thing to another, from being a leftist who sued her high school to being a leftist who was working at magazines, learning about branding, to suddenly becoming, oh, look, I'm the first young black pretty woman, because she was at that time, conservative, to conning Prager and then Ben Shapiro and all of it. She is who she is. She's always been who she is. And the same with Tucker Carlson. So they've always both been anti-Semites, and they really are playing that because that's where they think they can get a larger audience. And whether or not they're getting paid by other people, who knows, or by governments, I have no idea. Candace doesn't need money. She met a man and 2 weeks later was engaged to him, and he's the son of a billionaire. They'd spent a couple hours and boom, they got engaged. 6 months later, they're married, boom.
Yeah, but that doesn't do anything for her soul, Rabbi, does it?
No, this is it's really sad about both of their souls where they've gone.
How can we listen to your radio show, The Rabbi's Table, Dialogue, Not Debate?
You can go on any of the podcast formats, Spotify, And then we just had Tommy Robinson on last week. This week, we actually have Dinesh D'Souza, and we're talking about some great stuff. It'll be up on Sunday. He has a great quote, Jake. He said, watching Candace Owens is like watching midget bowling.
WGMD Rehoboth Beach and 98.5 WUSX Seaford, the talk of Delmarva.
Update on Operation Epic Fury. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. The U.S. shoring up its forces in the Middle East with the arrival of the USS George H.W. Bush, marking the first time in 20 years that 3 U.S. aircraft carriers have all been deployed to the region.
CENTCOM says the U.S. Navy now has 3 aircraft carriers here in the Middle East region. The USS George H.W. Bush has arrived in the Indian Ocean. Already here, the USS Gerald Ford and Abraham Lincoln. This is the first time 3 aircraft carriers have been in the region since 2003, leading up to the invasion in Iraq. Now, CENTCOM says the United States has now ordered 33 vessels to turn around back towards Iran under the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. Most of these ships are oil tankers. Fox's Lauren Simonetti reports at least 9 Iranian tankers full of millions of barrels of oil are just sitting, unable to sell, unable to get past the American blockade.
Fox's Matt Finn reporting from Dubai. Now, the ship's arrival is part of a show of force centered on the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon says it's taken complete control of it, ending Tehran's leverage in the key shipping lane. War Secretary Pete Hegseth.
In this new phase, as Iran has an important choice, a chance to make a deal, a good deal, a wise deal.
He says so far 34 ships have been turned around in the Strait. Meantime, the president granting a 90-day extension to the Jones Act waiver in an effort to curb rising energy costs linked to the war with Iran. It's going to make it easier to move oil, fuel, and fertilizer around the U.S. When the Jones Act is in effect, it raises the costs of shipping between U.S. ports because it requires goods to be carried on American-flagged vessels. Meantime, President Trump also says that Israel and Lebanon have agreed to extend a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah by 3 weeks. It comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that he had prostate cancer that responded to treatment. America's listening to Fox News.
Born on America's darkest day, 9/11/01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like FDNY Lieutenant Edward J. McDonough Jr. McDonough served at Ground Zero. He later lost his life to a related cancer. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to honor his sacrifice by paying off the family's mortgage. Donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Delmarva's home for local news, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva.
The news is brought to you by Wings to Go Long Neck. Open every day at 11 a.m. Order on DoorDash or call 302-947-9444.
A man from Dover is facing felony charges after police discovered a large quantity of illegal drugs inside his vehicle. An officer patrolling Delaware Seashore State Park spotted an unregistered car in one of the parking areas. The search of the vehicle turned up over 37 grams of suspected meth, nearly 4 grams of amphetamines, and 4.5 grams of suspected heroin. 45-year-old Mark Cushman was taken into custody for felony possession and intent to deliver a controlled substance. He's being held at Sussex Correctional Institution on a $10,000 bond. Delmarva Power is urging customers to take steps right now to reduce energy use and keep bills down when warmer weather arrives. Through its Exelon Promise initiative, the company is offering efficiency tips, expanded assistance programs, and tools to help customers manage costs. Recommendations include adjusting thermostats, using ceiling fans, limiting heat-producing appliances, and maintaining cooling systems. Customers can also access usage tools, free home energy checkups, and financial assistance programs if needed. Visit delmarva.com for more details. Some good news for drivers. Gas prices are lower heading into the weekend. According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of gas in Sussex County is $3.92. That is 6 cents lower than a week ago, although still 12 cents higher than a month ago. We are also 13 cents lower than the national average of $4.05. The average price for the state of Delaware is $3.87. In Maryland, the average price is $3.98 per gallon.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Sun and high clouds today with highs in the mid-60s at the beach, mid-70s inland. Cloudy, late showers possible tonight with a low of 52. Cooler with some showers over the weekend with highs only in the 50s. For these and other stories, go to talkofdelmarva.com.
Craving wings? Head to Wings to Go Long Neck, now under new ownership, where flavor meets freshness. Choose from 29 sauces and dry rubs. Enjoy traditional or boneless wings, always cooked to order. Try cheesesteaks and their popular soft-shell crabs. Conveniently located at 25938 Plaza Drive in Millsboro. Open daily at 11 a.m. Call 302-947-9444 or order on DoorDash. Wings to Go Long Neck, simply great wings since 1985.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday continues. Your anchorman, Jake Smith, sitting behind the shiny golden microphone in DS2. Just want to give you a heads up about Monday's program. 10:08, we're going to welcome in Brigadier General Blaine Holt, U.S. Air Force retired, who'll be joining us to talk about what's going on in the Middle East, specifically Iran. General Holt is actually enjoying some time in the mountains, relaxing and camping this weekend. He's unwinding, so hopefully he'll be ready to go at 10:08 on Monday morning on Your News Talk America. Let's go to the dial-out and see what's going on there. Our next panelist, Jan Jekielek, who's from Washington, D.C., is stuck in traffic. Everybody from Washington, D.C. is stuck in traffic. I think Mark, who's in the control room today, probably will agree to that. Every time I go to Washington, D.C., which I wish I didn't have to do, but on occasion I do have to do that for personal reasons, and I get stuck in traffic. However, let's see. Producer Wolf says Richard Winger of Ballot Access News is an expert on elections. Okay, thank you for that, Wolf. We appreciate that. Producer Bob, both Dershowitz and Napolitano teach and taught at excellent law schools. Apparently, law professors are allowed to teach. Let's see here. They're allowed to teach, their own opinions, not what is not actually settled case law. Just asking, not asserting. Maybe that is why so many law schools today are teaching that communism, not capitalism, is the best basis for government worldwide. Well, that's because, Bob, that communists are teaching those classes. And they're teaching that, soft communism is fine, you can live with it. This way, everyone will be treated equally. And that's not going to happen. And I know X-Nuke, and let me just say here, our producer, X-Nuke, said that, and I posed that question to Ken Cuccinelli about why didn't the Republicans go to court before the election on Tuesday and say to the courts, this is wrong, this is a violation of the multiple violation of the Virginia Constitution. And Judge Napolitano said that they didn't. Well, the fact of the matter is that Ken Cuccinelli said that they did go to the courts. All right, so we're now going to welcome in my opinion, he is perhaps the finest documentarian, investigative documentarian in the entire world. His name is Jan Jekielek, the Epoch Times senior editor, host of American Thought Leaders on Epoch TV. Jan is the author of the shocking book, Killed to Order, China's Organ Harvesting Industry and the True Nature of America's Biggest Adversary. I want to congratulate you, Jan, on receiving the French Quarter Magazine Award. Was that the other night at the French Embassy that you received that?
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Incredible. Very honored.
And I have one question because every couple of months I have to take my wife for treatments at MedStar across the street, and I can never find a place to park. Where did you park?
Well, you know what? I got lucky. I got one of the coveted spots at the embassy itself. So I actually parked on French soil.
That's true if you go through the gate. Yeah, if you go through that security gate, you're on French soil. That's right. French Quarter Magazine awarded Jan, senior editor Jan Jekielek, the publication's pick for 2026 Best Author of the Year, holding the ceremony at the French Embassy in Washington. As I just mentioned, the magazine's founder and CEO, Isabelle Caramuz. Did I pronounce that surname correctly?
I think
describe the setting as a nexus where conversations shape reality and possibly a catalyst for that change that Jekielek's new book, Kill to Order, demands. The last time we had scheduled, I don't remember what the issue was, Jan, but your book had not yet come to print. You could pre-order it, but you provided the evidence that China has a massive business of organ harvesting. And I asked the question, is it genocide? And what say you?
You know, I'll answer actually how Sir Jeffrey Nice answers the question. I like his answer to this question the best. So he's the man who prosecuted Slobodan Milosevic back in the day. And he also ran what was called the China Tribunal, which was an international tribunal that spent the better part of 2 years looking at all the expert testimony, all the eyewitness testimony, all the evidence that was able to be gathered around this issue. It ended towards the end of 2020, and they have this, kind of giant report that they put together. So he actually says, we were on a panel together not too long ago, right? And we were asked a question about possibly an even worse violation. I'm not going to go into that right now, right?
Right.
And they end this question of genocide, and he said we kind of avoided the question of genocide because this is just me paraphrasing, right? Because if you start asking that question, genocide, on the one hand, people use it very casually, like anytime there's a lot of killing, for example, in war, people say that's genocide, okay, which it's not. Genocide is a very specific thing, okay? It's a legal definition that says if you're trying to eliminate an entire group of people via various means, roughly speaking, that's genocide, okay? But the question is, right, when this China Tribunal faced this question, first of all, they noted that there's a profit motive, huge profit motive. So does that make it less genocide? According to some people's minds, it might, because it's not just to destroy the group of people. There's also this profit motive. And furthermore, so what I was going to paraphrase moments ago, he just said, look, if we said genocide, then everyone would be debating this. It's a genocide. Is it not genocide? Why don't we just say it's a horrible atrocity and just lay out exactly what it is, and then people can make up their own mind. And I think it's more powerful that way.
Now, the two groups in China that are being targeted for stealing their organs are the Uyghurs and Muslims, correct?
So the Uyghurs are one group. That group kind of came online to be used this way around 2015 or 2016, but they built it on the backs of a group called Falun Gong practitioners. It was a very popular meditation discipline, truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. This is what people were living, slow motion exercises. You could imagine, like in Beijing alone,
they're a terrible threat to the Chinese Communist Party, aren't they, Jan?
So this is what's really interesting. On the one hand, absolutely not. It's nonviolent. Doesn't even have membership.
I was being sarcastic.
Well, no, but you hit on something quite important, right? And this is something that only occurred to me maybe 15 years down the line, right? And this is that Falun Gong, very unusual structure, right? There's no hierarchy. There's no collection of money. There's a lot of teachings about it, but there's no worship of the teacher. And no hierarchy in the system whatsoever, no leadership. And even like, let's say you were a really great Falun Gong practitioner. I want to copy you. You're living truthfulness well. I want to emulate you. I can't do that. I have to understand the teachings and live them. That's at least how I get it works. My point is it promotes an unusual level of agency, okay, among the people. And I think that communists don't like people with agency. I think they want people that will follow or at least basically performatively agree to whatever the crazy thing that the regime decides it needs to do on a given day. So I think in that sense, right, promoting free thought and agency and so forth, I think it really is a threat to the Communist Party.
Jan Jekielek is joining us, the Epoch Times senior editor, host of American Thought Leaders on Epoch TV. My friends, no one on planet Earth did the investigative work on the COVID-19 pandemic than the gentleman that we have on today. Your work, Jan, was exceptional when you were covering this, what was going on back in 2019. Do you think about the work that you did covering the pandemic very often?
Well, first of all, thank you for your very kind words. And I mean,
you're
the
welcome.
biggest difficulty, right? So the Communist Party in China is an expert at propaganda, and that's one of their most powerful weapons. We were subjected to that sort of style of industrial grade propaganda in the US, which was just kind of shocking. And I was even trying to figure out how it exactly worked. But the point is, whenever you get that, on the one hand, there's censorship. On the other hand, there's a lot of propaganda. Basically, people come up with all sorts of crazy, people are trying to figure out what's really going on because they can tell whatever is going on, it's not the official thing, okay? Not the official narrative. So what I had to do, and this was actually challenging, right? Because I didn't know the answers, right? I just went out and wanted to figure out what really was going on. And you have to kind of wade through, on the one hand, sort of official narratives, which are clearly false, or unofficial narratives that are clearly false, and like all sorts of crazy ideas. And then amidst some of those seemingly crazy ideas, they may even seem crazy, but is the real thing, right? And you have to kind of dig it out, understand it, assess the evidence as real, and sometimes be convinced of something that's kind of frankly shocking.
But you were asking questions in the beginning that no one else was, Jan.
Yeah, I think that's accurate, but I mean that's kind of part of the course. I mean, one would hope that this is what journalists do, right?
Well, maybe what they used to do, not anymore.
Well,
sadly.
So I mean, I was just talking yesterday with someone about this, the lab origin, right, hypothesis. We had a documentary within 4 months, like basically in April of 2020, which we got in big trouble for, right? But basically, I mean, it wasn't even a very difficult argument. It was simple. It was just looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, probably a duck. We weren't definitive about this because you can't be. It's a probabilities thing. But it was just much more likely scenario given the evidence that was already available, including the virus sequence and things like that, that it was a lab origin. And that I didn't even think that was particularly contentious, to be perfectly honest. Except it turned out, boy, did it ever be, because vested interests wanted to tell a different story, and they just demanded it. But they didn't do it very well, and eventually, of course, the truth comes out.
They demanded it, and they also threatened. You better listen to this story the way we tell it, or else, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and this is terrible because it actually cost a lot of faith in our institutions. Like when institutions take these positions, which are, well, never mind false, but just like over obviously false. If you just start
confidence in public health has been demonstrably hurt by this.
And it's tragic because public health, the only thing it does have is confidence. Like you need, in a public health scenario, you need to be able to trust those people. Otherwise, they almost serve no value, right?
No question. Now, with respect to purchasing body parts, we've had Americans, doctors, who have flown to China to receive body parts in China. It's big business from them. We're finding out now that Washington is starting to take a look at this. Representative Chris Smith, Republican from New Jersey, Representative Scott Perry, Republican from Pennsylvania, have introduced legislation to combat this forced organ harvesting from China. One of our interactive producers, listener producers, have put a question for you. Should the president declare an embargo on illegally harvested organs? Well, those organs aren't coming here. I don't believe those surgical procedures are taking place in the People's Republic of China, Jan, correct?
Absolutely, but there is a nuance here, and actually I think it's a kind of a prescient question that the producer asked, because see, I'll give you an example. Okay, why is this? How much time do we have, by the way, to chat about this? Because I want to give you a bit of a picture here.
Well, we're going to take a break in a couple of minutes, and then we can go right to 11:30 Eastern, if that's okay with you, because I want to ask you about your interview with Sidney Powell.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So basically, there's a technology that's coming online. It's actually FDA supported, a life-saving technology called Organ Bank. An organ bank, what it can do is, see, the moment that you remove a kidney, this is why you said what you said was correct, right? When you remove a kidney, for example, from a body, right, it degrades very quickly. In the ideal situation, you're taking it out from a body that's still perfused. There's still circulation happening,
right,
and then it goes into the recipient, right? And so that, of course, if people die, there's a car accident, someone dies immediately, there's no more circulation, those organs degrade, that's lost. But now this technology can perfuse a kidney for 2 days, kind of in a box at room temperature. Very powerful with very little degradation, right? So that's going to save a lot of lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what that also can create is a situation that in this killed to order scenario, where prisoners of conscience are killed for organs in this unique China reality, those organs could actually be shipped over elsewhere, right? And for that'll be for the first time that's something like that's possible. So I actually do think there should be an embargo. There should be massive, controls on export controls on this technology, because we know what communist China is up to, and that's also important. Why it's so important that Scott Perry or Chris Smith's legislation, or both, are actually passed. Now they have both of those pieces of legislation passed the House near unanimously, and now are in the Senate. There's actually Scott Perry's bill was picked up by Senator Cruz most recently, and Merkley, Senator Merkley, it's a bipartisan bill, has come onto it. So, if this bill gets to the floor, it's possible that it can be passed, and it could make a really significant difference.
We are joined today, and we're very fortunate to have with us Jan Jekielek, the Epoch Times senior editor, host of American Thought Leaders, really one of the best documentarians in the world, my friends. I think he's the best. If you've seen his work on Epoch TV, there's nothing better. And we're talking about the forced organ harvesting from the People's Republic of China. Recently, I'm not sure what the date was, but you sat down with Sidney Powell. How long ago was that?
Oh, no, this is, I would guess at least 5 years ago.
Oh, this 5 years ago. Okay,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
just watched it, and I want to talk to you about that, because Sidney really, well, she had a rough time based on what happened in Fulton County, Georgia in the 2020 election. I want to ask you about what she had to say, because some of it really calls into question what communist China may have, the role that they may have had in the 2020 election. We're going to talk more with Jan Jekielek in just a moment on your News Talk America. Digital Interactive Friday continues. Please stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Daytime highs approaching 76 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies with a slight chance of rain showers. Easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of rain showers tonight, lows dip down to about 52, partly cloudy. Chance of rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 62, cloudy. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Currently, it's 74 degrees.
The Talk of Delmarva Radio Flea Market, Saturday morning at 10 on The Talk of Delmarva. MJ Powell, afternoons on WGMD.
This 11 a.m. Wellness Minute is locally brought to you by PAM Health Rehabilitation Hospitals. Did you know that April is Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month? According to the Amputee Coalition, 185 people in the U.S. experience limb loss each year. But losing a limb doesn't have to be the end of the journey. It's also the start of a new one. PAM Health Rehabilitation Hospitals provide the strength, skills, and support that help their patients move forward. This Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month lets honor the resilience of those who adapt and thrive. Because with PAM Acute Rehabilitation, a new beginning is always within reach. For more information on their amputee program or support groups, please visit online today at pamhealth.com or call PAM Health Rehabilitation Hospital at 302-213-1880.
Ready for a change of naturally cool scenery? Let's go coastal. On Maryland's coast, it's easy to slow down and enjoy the moment. From Ocean City to Berlin, Snow Hill, and Pocomoke City, you'll find charming shops, diverse dining options, local artwork and murals, and plenty of history to explore. Grab some fresh seafood, go on a hike, or take in the waterfront views on the Pocomoke River or coastal bays and just relax. It's everything you've been needing and more. Start planning your getaway at visitmarylandscoast.org. Maryland's Coast. You're welcome.
For over 18 years, the Surf and Crab in Lewis has been serving up the best in all-you-can-eat crabs and much more. Come hungry for fresh seafood, cold drinks, and beach vibes that locals love. Call the Surf and Crab at 302-644-4448.
Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
You're watching Your News Talk America. Digital Interactive Friday continues. Our panelist, and we're very pleased to have him, Jan Jekielek, joining us, the Epoch Times senior editor, the host of American Thought Leaders on Epoch TV. My friends, if you have not subscribed to the Epoch Times, you don't know what you're missing. I'm telling you, it is the finest publication, and I'm looking forward this weekend to sitting down and reading my print version of the Epoch Times. It is a wonderful, wonderful paper. You sat down 5 years ago with Sidney Powell. Now, Sidney, she was really dragged through the mud with what happened down in Fulton County, Georgia. And she used to be on this program on a fairly regular basis. I had a good relationship with Sidney. All of a sudden, she doesn't even answer my text messages anymore, Jan. And I feel bad for her. I mean, I can't possibly understand what her life, such a fine attorney, her experience, the cases that she's won, the people that she stood up for, obviously General Flynn and so forth. But she talked about in the interview that you did with her, the evidence that China had sent, I'm not sure if thousands of ballots, how many ballots or millions of ballots China had counted and Mexico had counted in the 2020 election. What's your recollection about what Sidney Powell had said to you during that interview?
So I have to be honest with you. I don't have a strong recollection of it, but I do believe she was talking about something that, let me kind of frame this for you a little bit, right? That time there was this huge, thick information warfare fog of war. Okay, and this is another one of these examples where we had to really painstakingly and carefully piece through, because we were being sent tips and all sorts of material, which was very clear. Mm-hmm. It was disinformation designed to get us, first of all, to waste our time, right? Mm-hmm. To basically just not investigate the stuff that was actually legitimate. So they would just push out massive amounts of what you would call actual disinformation, intentionally misleading information, but kind of potentially tantalizing and attractive, right, to people that are actually trying to get to the bottom of the truth. Because again, the official narrative doesn't seem correct, right? So you're trying to kind of figure out what's going on. But I would say around the election stuff, this is where it was kind of the thickest. And so I think, people ended up getting caught up in this, inadvertently. I think we managed mostly to kind of avoid it, but it was very difficult, and it wasted an astronomical amount of our time just to kind of, get on red herrings and things like that, these kind of wild goose chases. So she did. I do remember her talking about, Chinese fake ballots, and it turns out that this is something that is most likely real. And this is, recently there's been revelations that there were these fake ballots coming from communist China, potentially used. I think this is currently actually under investigation by the FBI as we speak, right?
And I think DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, is also investigating same, I believe.
Correct, exactly. So the problem here is, right, that this is part of the tactics of this, information warfare, is you kind of really obfuscate the situation. And the moment someone makes a mistake, the megaphone pounces on that and says, look, this is everything that these people are doing is fake, right? And they're bad and don't trust them. And it's all disinformation, when in fact, the disinformation is being kind of like what we've learned about the allegations about the Southern Poverty Law Center, right?
Yep.
Like it's always kind of this sort of weird inversion of reality, and so that's what I remember. And it's really unfortunate. I agree with you. I think Sidney Powell is an incredible attorney. She did amazing work, sort of even, exposing, this was one of her kind of crimes, right, was exposing corruption within the judicial system itself, right? License to Lie, amazing book that she wrote. And I think so she really got on the radar of some really nasty characters. And I think
and they didn't like the fact that she helped General Flynn either.
Oh, no, they didn't.
She was on their radar, right?
That's right.
Well, I want to thank you, Jan Jekielek. The book, Killed to Order, China's Organ Harvesting Industry and the True Nature of America's Biggest Adversary. The winner of the 2026 Best Author of the Year from French Quarter Magazine. Congratulations again on your winning that award. Well deserved. Jan, thank you so much for coming on the program. I can't tell you how pleased I am that we finally got you on here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. And by the way, for people that want to get the book, killedtoorder.com. That's the quick link. Killedtoorder.com takes you right to Amazon. You can get it in one click. And thank you so much for having me.
Anytime you have an open invitation to come on the show, sir, anytime at all.
Wonderful.
Killedtoorder.com. Jan, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're watching Your News Talk America. Digital Interactive Friday continues, celebrating America's 250th anniversary. Stay tuned.
Here is the marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center.
Hey,
Mostly
so
sunny
thanks a
today,
lot,
highs
and-
tapping out near 60 degrees. And on the water, east winds 5 to 10 knots, seas around 2 feet. The current water temperature is 54 degrees. At Cambridge, high tide 10:53 a.m., low tide 5:53 p.m., high tide 11:27 p.m. And at Rehoboth Beach, low tide 8:46 a.m., high tide 2:46 p.m., low tide 8:48 p.m. I'm Phil Jensko.
Welcome to the Delmarva Peninsula, and thanks for listening to 92.7 and 98.5. The Talk of Delmarva.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Department of Justice has dropped the criminal probe of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell into construction cost overruns at the Fed complex. District of Columbia U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro says instead, the Fed's Inspector General will look into the costs. It ends the probe of Powell, clearing the way for confirmation of Kevin Warsh, President Trump's choice to succeed Powell in May when Powell's term as Fed chair ends. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index for April slumped to the lowest level for the full month on record, that reading 49.8. Intel shares are up more than 20% after its much better than expected quarter. Charter Communications shares down more than 20%. It continued to lose subscribers in the period. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
You didn't want to buy gold when prices were rising. Then you waited when gold pulled back. Now you're stuck in the middle, unsure what to do next. Speak with a precious metal specialist now at noblegoldinvestments.com. Get the answers you need to stop guessing and move forward with confidence. Their team makes it simple to gain real investor knowledge and insight. Stop trying to time the market. Start spending time in it. Don't let the market move without you. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Broadcasting from the Montague Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday continues. Your News Talk America. If you'd like to watch the program, realnewstalk.com, realnewstalk.com. And Facebook Live. You go to Facebook Live and watch the program as well. Live from DS2. Now on Monday, the outstanding foreign policy analyst, the best in the business, Brigadier General Blaine Holt, joins us at 8 minutes past 10 on Monday. And he is the best. There's no one better than General Holt, and he is booked for Monday's show. Now, having said that, our next panelist... and I guess it's one of those days, or maybe he's here. Oh, he is here. There he is. I didn't think he was going to be here. And son of a gun, he's here. Dr. Murray Sabrin is joining us. He is a Mises Institute Associated Scholar, Emeritus Professor of Finance at Ramapo College of New Jersey. He is Judge Andrew Napolitano. He likes my imitation of the former governor of the state of New Jersey. Judge Andrew Napolitano calls Dr. Sabrin a courageous genius and an intellectual giant. Now, before we get to countdown of 250, Dr. Sabrin, something that must have gotten your attention yesterday. The Trump administration announced Spirit Airlines.
Yes.
Spirit Airlines sucks. I would not fly on Spirit Airlines if you gave me a free ticket. They're getting a $500 million bailout from the Trump administration. They went bankrupt because they suck. And now they're going to get a $500 million bailout from the Trump administration when they should have gone bankrupt. Dr. Sabrin, your response to that?
Well, this is just another example, Jake, of the betrayal of the American Revolution, of using the government to funnel taxpayer dollars to people who think that the government should be bailed out. This happened under George W. Bush with the bailout of GM and Chrysler. This goes on and on. This is not a partisan issue. This is a fundamental philosophical issue of what is the role of government in a free society. And free enterprise means free from the bonds of government, free from the chains of government. It doesn't mean that you go to government, to Washington, in cup in hand saying, I need a bailout because my business sucks. And this is an example of why I'm doing what I'm doing, is with Make Americans Financially Independent, including businesses. We have a profit and loss economy. Losses tell us that businesses are doing a lousy job and consumers are voting with their dollars. The people in Washington just don't get it.
But Dr. Sabrin, Spirit Airlines for years, people were complaining about the terrible service, and they charged them an exorbitant amount of money for luggage. Yeah, their tickets were cheap, but it was not to fly on their airline. As you mentioned, it just sucked. So people started flying. They had other choices. They flew other choices. Spirit Airlines business, bad management, whatever, suffered. They went bankrupt. And here we are, the American taxpayer, bailing out a bad airline. I mean, Freddie Laker used to say, what was that London airline? My name is on every plane. Well, Spirit Airlines' name is on every plane, and they should call it Sucks Airlines.
Well, there's another component here which people don't know about. One of the reasons that Spirit got into financial trouble is they took on a huge amount of debt at low interest rates, courtesy of the Federal Reserve. So when the Federal Reserve artificially lowers interest rates, it induces a lot of companies to borrow money, which eventually comes back to bite them in the you-know-where, because if their business model sucks and they have a large debt on their balance sheet, it's a prescription for disaster. And that's exactly what happened to Spirit. And for the president to bail them out, being the, quote, astute businessman that he is.
I don't get it.
He should say, Spirit, sorry, let's get your assets into better entrepreneurs' hands and let the public decide who's going to win and who's going to lose in the competitive marketplace.
So they get taxpayer dollars they get a bailout, a $500 million bailout, and the same management is in place. They're going to keep doing the same thing.
But it's even more insidious. The president wants warrants that will give the federal government equity into Spirit Airlines. This is socialism. Bernie Sanders is probably doing what type of dance in the halls of Congress.
No, I know. Bernie's probably saying, "This is what I wanted. We need the Spirit Airlines. We're gonna fly all over the place, and we're gonna love it." What do you?
I mean, you can't make this.
Now, did I do a better Tom Kane or did I do a better Bernie Sanders?
What do you think? You should be on the Tonight Show.
No, thank you. No, I don't want to be on.
No, with Johnny Carson. That would
Johnny
Carson.
That would be different. That would be different. We're talking about countdown to 250, but what happened in Virginia with respect to the elimination of Republican representation in the state, in the state of Virginia, the home of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. Your response?
Well, this is another example why some of the founders were absolutely opposed to factions, which are now political parties. Because once you have factions, each faction is going to try to get power for their own benefit and the benefit of their donors. And we've seen this in American history for the past 250 years, since the Constitution was ratified. People form coalitions and try to get as much money out of the taxpayer as possible instead of trying to service the public through free market means. And this is something that I think we have to stand up and say, no more, enough is enough. If you want to have a free society, it has to be based upon voluntary exchange.
And the people have to stand up. I mean, the fact that so many in Virginia, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, not far from these studios, actually thought that socking it to Republicans, preventing them from having representation in Congress was a good thing. That tells me a lot about the way Americans are thinking right now, Dr. Sabrin.
Well, unfortunately, President Trump got the ball rolling by having this done in Texas. And then once this happened, then California decided to get into it, Virginia, and now Florida wants to get into it as well. This is why there should be two separate things: the governance process, where we elect people, and the institutional process, which should be done on a nonpartisan basis. But unfortunately, the way these districts are drawn, the Wall Street Journal had a map of the new district. It looks like somebody had a Rorschach test and they went crazy over it because it belies rationality.
Both parties have been doing this gerrymandering for years and years and years. Pennsylvania's had it. New York's been doing it. It's been going on for years.
There's a district in New Jersey. I wasn't in that district, but it went from the Hudson River to the Pennsylvania border. It made no sense whatsoever. It cut across 4 counties. It was totally an absurd district. Congressional districts should be based upon contiguous geographical areas where people have a common bond, as opposed to people living 60 miles away from each other. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, as a representative, how do you serve your district with a district like that, Dr. Sabrin?
Well, now you have to increase the cost of the congressional offices by having maybe 2 or at least 3 offices. So again, this is sort of a make-work program for congressional staffers, and it just shows you how out of control the federal government has become over the past 250 years. And the American Revolution has been betrayed by both Republicans and Democrats, basically since how far you want to go back. The first bank in the United States, the second bank, and all of the regulations that have taken place, the Federal Reserve, the income
Federal
tax,
Reserve, yep.
The New Deal, the Great Society. The list goes on and on and on. It doesn't stop. And that's why I've been writing the books that I've written over the past 35 years, because we need to get back to the principles of the American Revolution. And we're going to have all these flowery words from politicians on both sides of the aisle about the principles of the Declaration, when they've been violating those principles in the legislation they've passed for decades.
Countdown to 250, celebrating 250 years of American independence. What is your message to us this week, Dr. Murray Sabrin?
Well, we have a mayor in New York City that really wants to sock it to wealthy people by having a special tax on property over $5 million. This is a blatant expropriation of individual wealth, a gross violation of the principles of the Declaration of Independence. And the people of New York better wake up, because if they continue this, go down this road, New York City will become pretty much of a ghost town in 20, 30 years.
That's what New Yorkers voted for. That's what they voted for.
As H.L. Mencken once said, in a democracy, people get what they deserve, and hard.
Well, the worst thing that Kami Mamdani did was hug Mrs. Met, and my Mets lost 12 games in a row after he hugged Mrs. Met. Did you know that, Dr.
Well,
Sabrin?
this shows you how poisonous getting close to a leftist is all about.
Before we go, I want to just ask you about this fight over the FISA court and the Save America Act. Yesterday, 6 Republicans caved to the Democrats in the Senate, and it looks like the Save America Act is dead. That's what it appears. What about the fight for the FISA court? I think that's a fight worth having. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Judge Napolitano has been on this issue for many, many years. In his writings, in his books, in his podcasts, his columns. I mean, this is a gross overreach by the courts and the federal government, saying you don't need a warrant to investigate people, or based on flimsy evidence to investigate people. And again, we need sunshine in government. We need transparency. And if you don't have transparency in government, you eventually get to an authoritarian state.
And that is the message that Dr. Murray Sabrin has for us today. Mises Institute Associated Scholar, Emeritus Professor of Finance at Ramapo College of New Jersey, who loves government bailouts, don't you?
Oh, boy, let me tell you something. This is the worst domestic policy you can possibly have because it's contrary to the principles of free markets, unlimited government, and constitutional governance. And we just need to get away from this mindset that if a company gets in trouble, the government has to bail it out, which was
Agreed.
What? Our money.
So does that mean you're going to be booking a ticket on Spirit Airlines today?
No, we haven't flown in quite a while for a variety of reasons. But the airline, going to the airport today is almost like being in a third world country, in an authoritarian society. We have to get patted down by the TSA people, and it just shows you how far we've gone away from
absolutely.
the freedom principles.
Dr. Sabrin, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Countdown to 250.
Thanks so much, Jake. You have a good weekend and a good week.
You too. Thank you very much, Doctor. You're listening to Your News Talk America. Salute the troops coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Slight chance of rain showers this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Highs of aloft around 76. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Chance of rain showers, 52. Chance of rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 62. Cloudy skies expected. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Currently, it's 74 degrees.
Celebrating over 40 years, 92.7 and 98.5, the Talk of Delmarva. You're listening to WGMD.
We keep you warm when it's cold outside. We keep you water hot.
From here, for here, 3 generations of Baker Petroleum, trusted to fuel Kent and Sussex County. For propane, gasoline, and diesel fuel, call 302-645-7000.
You're good to go. You can depend on Baker Petroleum. You're good to go.
Vernon Powell is your local source for over 200 brands of footwear, apparel, and accessories. From Molokai sandals to Hoka running shoes, VP has the footwear to fit your lifestyle. Hit the gym or the boat in performance apparel from Lululemon and Marshwear. And shop VP accessories for all your favorites like Bob bags, E. Newton jewelry, and Yeti drinkware. Family owned for 90 years, visit Vernon Powell behind the mall in Salisbury on Route 1 Rehoboth or online at VPShoes.com.
Vernon Powell Shoes, apparel and more. It's a place to explore.
Hi, I'm Tim, and I'm a principal with Giuliani Associates. A building can look impressive, but if it doesn't work, it costs you every day. Customer flow, staff efficiency, operational performance. We design commercial facilities that are built to work and built to grow with your business. As Delmarva expands, your building should support what's next. Giuliani Associates. Architecture is an investment. Design a better Delmarva.com. Design a better Delmarva.com.
From wind turbines off the Delmarva coast to the gun debate in Dover to the blueprint for Maryland's future in Annapolis, Mike Bradley has you locally covered with all you need to know. Weekday mornings 5 to 9 here on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD.
One blood donation can help save many lives. Give blood today. Call the Blood Bank of Delmarva at 1-888-8-BLOOD-8 or visit delmarvablood.org. For information, go to the Community Outreach under the Extras tab at thetalkofdelmarva.com.
To honor those men and women who have defended freedom whenever and wherever it was threatened, the Talk of Delmarva presents Salute the Troops.
Salute the Troops honors the sacred memory of United States Army Specialist Michael T. Aserio, who died April 23, 2019 at the age of 20 while serving during Operation Inherent Resolve. Aserio hailed from Horseshoe Bend, Idaho. He died as the result of a non-combat related incident in Taji, Iraq. He was an intel analyst in Fort Carson's 3rd Armored Brigade, part of the 4th Infantry Division. His decorations included the Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and Army Service Ribbon. Michael loved to play all sports, but his favorite was basketball. Salute the Troops honors the ultimate sacrifice in Iraq of U.S. Army Specialist Michael T. Aserio. If not for Aserio's commitment to serve, defending freedom and liberty in Iraq, this nation could not, this nation would never have remained free. May this grateful nation never forget the name Michael T. Aserio. Rest in peace, sir. For Salute the Troops, I'm Jake Smith.
There's a place where veteran stories, the fabric of our nation's past, serve the future. Now your experiences can be an invaluable resource, a treasured piece of an ever-growing collection. Share your memories with us at the Library of Congress Veterans History Project, where the experiences of U.S. military veterans are preserved. You'll help inform the next generation of students, scholars, researchers, and veterans too. To submit your stories, photographs, and other military documents, visit lot.gov/vets today.
Broadcasting from the Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
You're watching Digital Interactive Friday, your News Talk America, your anchorman, Jake Smith. And we normally don't go to phone calls second and third hours on Friday, but we do have a phone call. And Mike says that he wants to get on the air. He's got something to say. So, Mike, take it away.
Jake, out of all the things that are going down right now, the Save America Act is probably the most important one of them all. It is back to this voter roll. And those 8 Republicans should be, their names should be repeated 1,000 times a day that they did not vote for that.
Mike, I have been saying for years and years, if you don't like what's going on in America, don't blame the Demcoms. Blame the Republicans. They're the ones that have sold us out time and again. And, you know, quite frankly, if it wasn't for the Republicans, we would have gotten all this stuff done. If it wasn't for the Republicans, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in today. And they're not Republicans, and that's why I just think that if we're blaming the Demcoms, don't blame them. Blame the Republicans for their weak knees, and whomever's in control of them, they're the real criminal here.
And that's why the ones that did not vote for Save the Act should be, their names should be on there right to the day that they are polled the next time.
Well, let me ask you, how many years has Lisa Murkowski been in the Senate?
Oh my God!
How many years has Tom Tillis is not running for re-election, fortunately, but how many years has he been? How many years has he's been in the Senate?
Thank God he is not.
Mitch McConnell's leaving, but how much damage has he done?
Yep, I know. You can name them, but the ones that just voted for this, not for the vote Save America Act, should be polled and they should be thrown out of the country.
Well, again, the Republican Party has got to get their act together, and right now we just got a lot of dead wood. And if the Demcoms take over in January, which is very possible, they will remove Donald Trump from office. They will remove him from office,
and we are done.
Well,
if they take over again,
we have been warned. And we have ignored the warning. It's that simple.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you calling in. And again, my friends, don't blame the Demcoms for the mess we're in. Blame the Republicans. How many times did we put them in control and they screwed us over? It's true. Let's take a look at the Dial Lounge. Producer Vanessa says, great show. Jake and staff, thanks for taking my questions. Have a great weekend all. Thank you, Vanessa. You as well. Wolf says, good show. Thank you. Again, my friends, I'm just shocked at this Save America Act. They knew that President Trump said this was a quarter piece of saving the country, and yet they could care less. And let me point this other issue out as far as the REPCOMs are concerned. The Department of Homeland Security is still not funded. And next week, there's no more money, the temporary money, to pay the Department of Homeland Security, the security people at the airports. So guess what? We're going to go back to 4 or 5, 6 hour lines at the airports again after next week. I don't know what to say. This is the government that we have. It is the government that we deserve because we do not get involved. And elections will not fix this. Only citizen involvement is going to fix this. And I don't think you can really convince people today that that we are being threatened serious enough that we have to take action. And when you have people out there that participate in these No Kings rallies that are being run by communists, being funded, coordinated by people in communist China, and they participate anyway, it just goes to show you where we're heading in America. My monologue just the other day when I talked about this communist revolution that we're in right now, I just don't think we've got enough people convinced of the serious nature of where we are. Producer Bob says you have both well-known and lesser-known guests on your shows. Every one of them typically hit it out of the park each time. Well, I don't really, I take the opportunity if there's a big-name guest and that they're going to add something to the show, Bob. There's some people, big-name guests that added things to the show that, like, for instance, I'm going to give you a name, Peter Navarro. I thought Peter was a friend of mine. Peter won't even answer my text messages anymore. Sidney Powell won't answer my text messages anymore. Clearly, when the deep state, the Demcoms, went after these people, something changed. And I don't know whether their lawyers told them, don't go on any smaller networks, don't go on any smaller news outlets, keep your exposure to a minimum. I don't know. That's possible. But, you know, things change. But whether someone is a big name or not, that's not indicative of them being given a slot on this show. It's all about, you know, what they can bring. Ken Cuccinelli, former Attorney General of Virginia, popped on to give us an update of what's going on in the courts. Ken sounded a lot more optimistic than Judge Napolitano sounded yesterday. Ken's a big name, and he was available. But there are other people who have opinions that aren't as big a name as Ken Cuccinelli. And if they have something to offer the show, I am certainly going to give them an opportunity and a voice. I think it was Xnuke who said in the chat room earlier today in the lounge, and pointing out that Judge Napolitano was wrong about the Republicans not filing suit against this vote for the restructuring of districts in Virginia, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, before the election. And you heard what Ken Cuccinelli said. He said they did. So Xnuke said, well, you know, I don't listen to Judge Napolitano on Constitution. I'd rather listen to constitutional issues. I'd rather take my constitutional lessons from Mark Levin. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, when a doctor says you have to have surgery, do you go with one opinion? Do you get a second opinion? Of course you get a second opinion. When you hear an opinion on the Constitution, do you go with one opinion, or do you get more than one opinion and make your own determination? I think that is the best way to go. If there are a number of constitutional scholars, listen to as many as you can and formulate your own opinion based on their analysis. Don't just go with one opinion, go with multiple opinions. And Producer Bob says, I met and talked with Ken Cuccinelli when we both lived in Virginia. He won an award for his pro-life efforts as Attorney General in Virginia. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate that. Ken's a really good guy. And the fact that he found time they were his people were trying to cancel for today. And I'm like, you can't do that. I need him. And they found a slot for Ken to come on this show today and provide us with very useful information in a timely fashion of what's going on with respect to Virginia, the gerrymandering in Virginia. Very, very appreciative of that, and I will let them know after the show. But I want to remind you, you have a voice. Make sure your voice is heard loud and clear. Millie, Triel, I miss you. You're home. We'll be back at it again Monday. Remember, 10:08, Brigadier General Blaine Holt joins the panel. Have a great weekend.